Okay, today we're going to go over a little bit of the payment histories and how to read some of the information that's in those. And then we're going to spend quite a bit of time on entering payments for loan and for dues, some payment arrangements, and hopefully get some information out for how that is done. So I thought we'd start with the payment history. We kind of looked at it a little bit yesterday, but there are some features that I wanted to point out that when you can hover over the transaction codes and it'll give a full display of what that transaction code means. Obviously, PMT is a payment, DDC is a due date change. See if there's any other strange ones here. NCPR is a non-cash principal only. So we can also hover over the source codes to see where that payment originated. So this was a lockbox check only. It's where the customer sent in more than likely a bill pay check with their account number indicated on it, and our lockbox is programmed to recognize those 12-digit account numbers and post those, so we don't have to do that as exceptions. SurePay Web was a payment that was entered over the internet for an ACH payment. Lockbox exceptions, that was probably a check that maybe they didn't write their 12-digit account number on, so it had to be sent back to our office where our internal cash folks looked it up and did the processing or did the posting. So again, payment histories, we can collapse the years and expand just what we want to look at, or we can collapse them all, or I'm sorry, expand them all. And then remember that, don't try to print this kind of mess, because there's a print friendly button up here that puts it into a much nicer format. So there's our amortization, and then here's the actual payment history. And it also has included at the bottom those full descriptions for transaction and source codes on the printed version as well. The maintenance or the
forward.
Yeah. So the dues history is very similar. It shows charges, payments. If there was a credit, you'll always see a credit forward adjustment. So if there's a credit after this payment, there's a credit of 61 cents. When the next charge is applied, it temporarily backs that credit off, applies the charge, and then reapplies the credit, so it pays down and absorbs that credit appropriately according to the payment hierarchy that is set up for you. We have lockbox, statement was generated. We have there's the credit and debit realignment, manual lockbox. So it's the same thing. And then on the payment history for the dues, again, if you show and hide the category, you actually get a breakout of, it goes from total due, past due, current billed. It goes from the header level to the specific category level, how much was applied, maintenance fees and dues, and all of the custom categories that you will have. Charge information is in the payment history as well, or for the dues. It shows the charges, and it's the same thing. There's hovers that shows this is a charge for the maintenance fee category. It shows the charge status as being completed. We'll go into these when we start talking about bill charges, which is next week. So there's information for every charge that is built. What's nice is when the charge is built, all of the late charges pre-populate. So that's why we see late charges and service fees out here into the future because they pre-build, sit out there and wait so you know they're coming up, but they never actually execute if there's still a balance remaining, unless there's a balance remaining on the account. We'll go through this with the bill charge information. So that's pretty much the payment histories for our loan and for our dues. And again, the maintenance obviously has the print-friendly version as well. So we'll say billing, and it'll have the payment information followed by all of the charges. So now we're going to look at some payment options. And if there's any recurring loan or dues auto pay, whether it's credit card or ACH, if there's any one-time credit card or ACH payments, it will show here in the pending payments, so you can see that there's already a loan payment on file for this account. So we can hold it or cancel that payment if we'd like. And remember, everything that we do, so we'll cancel it, is captured in the notes. So it should show that that payment was just canceled right here. Confirmation, payment was canceled. Shows that we just did that. So back to the payment screen. We'll look at the loan side. Again, if there's a bring current amount, we can indicate that and fill that in. So we'll say that we just want to make a regular payment amount. So we can click that and it's filled into our pay amount down here below. Or if we want to do the payoff, we can do that and it'll fill in the amount for us. If we want a payoff as of October 2nd, we can see that it's calculated that for us, and then we can click that and fill that in. And then we would just do the same for the date. Fill that in for October 2nd. So we'll do a one-time ACH. We have a checking account on file. So if we want to use that same information, we just choose that and it will pre-fill that information for us. Or if we want a new one, then it'll leave them blank and we can fill them in. There's a little help button that shows for people that may be in training where they can look for the routing and account number on the typical check. So we'll do the payoff as of October 2nd for the loan. We're going to do a regular payment. Submit. Now, if it was after, it was 3 o'clock when we go to do this, it would tell you that it's after today's cutoff time if we had dated this for today, and it would say that it'll be dated for tomorrow. So it knows when the daily process has been started, and it will date everything and then let you know that it's dated everything for the following day. So this is what the confirmation looks like before it's being submitted. So what we do is we try There's certain points that should be made when you're setting up a payment for either ACH or credit cards. So we set this up so you can read it kind of like a script. So you can say, for your verification, Mr. Smith, your payment will be taken on October 2nd for this dollar amount. You've given us authorization today's date. If there's any questions, your customer service number will fill in here for you. And then here's what's going to be entered, one-time ACH or SurePay for this account number, routing account number, checking account. There's no service fee. It's going to go to a loan. It's going to post as a payment and the posting date. So we're going to send an email so you can see what the email looks like. And then we'll submit. And it said the payment was authorized successfully. And so then when we go back up here, we can now see that it's become a pending payment, October 2nd, for the dollar amount that we entered. We can see that that information is in the comments, created a one-time SurePay or ACH payment from the internet. It's going to go to the loan. Here's the dollar amount, the day it's going to post. Here's a confirmation number. These confirmation numbers, if you give those to the customers, you can search by these in your account lookup, remember. That was one of the search features. So we've gotten the payment entered. We can see that it's been documented in the comments. And the final piece is, here's the email that the customer will receive. And again, it looks very similar to the confirmation that we had gotten when we entered the payment. So it'll have the confirmation number, the payment information, and this is the actual email that they'll receive.
Eric, a couple questions. What about entering a custom amount?
Sure. So if we want to just use the account that's on file, and we can do anything, $10.75 or $100, 50 cents. Yeah. So yeah, the pre-fills are just helpful. They're not required. So.
Okay. And one other thing, I noticed there's a cancel button. How long do we or the member have to cancel the payment that they just scheduled?
The member can only put it on hold. Your access will allow them to cancel, and it will be up until the process is started for the day.
Okay.
So if our operations folks has started the ACH process for the day, the system kind of locks down and it says, no changes can be made until the process is complete. So okay. It'll be that 5 o'clock window is when that process starts for you, and then when we shift times, later in the year will only be 2 hours, so it'll go from 5 to 4. So
okay.
So yeah, as long as the process hasn't started for the day, you can go in and cancel the transaction, and the consumer will be able to put it on hold.
So you can only cancel, you can't edit it?
Correct.
Okay.
You'd have to re-enter the new one.
Okay.
So one-time credit card is very similar. It will, if there's an existing card on file, you can select it. Dollar amounts are the same. You can put in how much you want to do. So you can, you know, 127.03. If the payment date is within the next 6 days, it will go out and pre-authorize the card. If it's after, so if it's 7 plus, it will not. If you do not want an authorization in those 6 days, you can tell the system not to do that. So if we're going to post this payment for today, but do not want to get an authorization, we can select that option. And then there's a little helpful pop-up here that kind of reminds you of that process. So some of our clients will ask if it's a debit card being used, and they have a policy of never getting a authorization on a debit card, but that's their internal procedure, so it's an option. But if you do not have it checked and we're going to do the payment for today, submit. It's gone out, and well, here's the review of the summary. And it's actually gone out and placed a pre-authorization on that credit card. So there's now a hold on that credit card for 127.03. So that was on the loan side. I guess we'll go ahead and finish out the, we'll do a payment plan. Maybe we'll do a credit card payment plan. We'll use this Visa account, and what it will do is it's going to ask you how many payments. So say the customer wants to get caught up in 3 payments. So they're going to owe $321.09, right? And so you fill in the number of payments, the total amount of the plan, and it's gone out and it says, well, if I take the first payment today, then the second a month from, and it'll keep going down. And it's broken out those dollar amounts. Now it does this for you, but if you want to customize that, and the customer says, no, I want the first one to be on the 29th, I want the second one to be on my payday the 16th, and I want the last one to be after the holiday. So you can go in and customize the dates. So the breakdown that it attempts to do for you is just a starting point. Dollar amounts the same way. You can say, no, I want to pay 2 of them the first time, and half of it here, and whatever that's going to equal. Okay. So once you've gotten this, so what's going to happen is none of these are within 6 days, so there's not going to be any holds placed on the credit card for these. So it's going to give us a chance to review. It's going to say, here's your first payment amount, first date, second date. There's no fees for this. Some of our clients add a fee for this convenience. And they can submit, and they get an authorization that has the same thing, confirmations for each of the payments, and that this is what their email will look like if we had opted to email that. And then what it does is it's gone out and it's created 3 one-time credit card payments for our dates and our dollar amounts.
So there's your post-date system.
But what if they're giving, if they're giving them confirmations and the next two don't go through?
If it's beyond 6 days, it won't generate a
I think
confirmation.
it's kind of just like a transaction, probably ID number, same as what we do when it doesn't go through right away.
Because if somebody calls and says,
Right.
well, I have my, I have my authorization code.
That's what I would say, just your transaction ID number.
In the on the due side, it's going to be a little bit different because of the bill charge and the flux frequency. We're going to see a difference between one-time payments and auto. We'll kind of go through the one-time here. So again, it has the same option as before. It has the, you can fill in these dollar amounts. It shows what each category it owes. So if we do all of the past due, if we do checking account, if we want a particular dollar amount to go to a specific category, we can indicate that here. So we can post-date this to Monday's date, regular payment, and submit. And here's where that disclosure information pops in for NACHA. Here's the summary of the transaction. And there's the payment.
So I have a question. There was $500 on late fees, and then there was a maintenance fee on there. When that payment goes through, how is it going to go to that? Can you put so much to late fees and so much to the dues?
Yes, you can have this category selection include late fees if you want, and then you can select that.
Okay.
But otherwise, if you just pay the dollar amount, it will go in the waterfall of how the payment hierarchy is set up. So one-time credit card, same thing. Has the same summary process. So now we have both these payments sitting out here. I'm going to cancel them out. I guess one thing that we should have gone over is for the loan, there is an option to do a principal reduction. So say we wanted to do a $1,000 only to principal, that's what this payment type is. So this will post $1,000 to principal. Dollar amounts selected with this transaction type will not affect the due date. So the due date will not advance. It strictly pays down the principal. So that's what it looks like, loan principal balance reduction. So back over to maintenance. The big difference is going to be where we set up auto recurring information. So you can see that when we selected the auto credit card, the dollar amount has gone away. What we're doing, the system really drives almost entirely completely automatic when it comes for billing or dues, recurring payments. We basically give it the information for where to get the payment, and then it will take care of the rest. So as the charge becomes due, the system goes out and it says, I have a charge that's going to be due in 10 days. Are there any one-time credit cards or payments sitting out here for the dues? There's not, so whatever increment the flexible, whether it's flex monthly, is due, it will set up a one-time payment for that amount. And then it will do that check again the day that it's processing. It'll say, is there any other payments that I need to adjust for? And it will adjust that up or down if there's payments or additional charges that have been entered before that due date. So for recurring dues payments, you're really putting in the payment method information, and then the system will take care of the rest. That's not to say you can't put a one-time in. If you want to make a specific payment, you can, then the dollar amount shows up again. And then the system will take that one-time payment into account when it goes to review and calculate how much the recurring should be. So we'll have a little bit more practice with this when we go over the bill charges as well. And I have some documentation that really steps through that process as well and has it as a reference for you. So to go back, we're going to set up the dues for recurring credit card information. And you can see that it's filled those in with whatever the automatic amounts will be. It doesn't give a specific dollar amount. And then when you submit it, you can see that it's sitting up here saying that it's automatic. The date is going to be dependent on the charges that are entered. So when you enter a charge, you get to select when it's going to be due, when the statement for it should drop. So all of that information is what picks up with the payment method on system, and then they mirror together and create the one-time payments based on the recurring information that's been set up. And the comment for that will look like this. You can see that the dues payment method was changed from statement to a recurring credit card, and that there was information entered for that recurring credit card to be drafted.
If they're set up for a reoccurring credit card, are they still going to get a statement or no?
They will get the initial statement, because you usually, when you have your, I think it's cost of living increase, on an annual basis, they'll get that annual statement, but correct, they won't get one after that. Whereas if they aren't on recurring, they'll get a monthly statement for their dues.
Now, what about contract?
Same thing. If they're set up for recurring payments, there will be no statement generated. If they're not, they'll get a monthly loan statement. So this account right now, this is a one-time on the loan and recurring for the dues. So he'll get a loan statement on a monthly basis. Whereas if we go in here, set him up for recurring ACH, so now he will not get a statement at all because he has a recurring loan payment, and then he has a recurring dues payment. And he also has a one-time loan principal reduction. So
Well, can you change the date right there on that pending payment?
This will change the date for, this specific one and all future as well. So this is changing his draft date from the 21st to the 25th. And there can be a different draft dates from due dates, because we can see his due date is the 1st, and his draft date's going to be the 25th. So he's actually paying about a week before he's due. So the only thing to remember here is, if his date's the 1st, his due date's the 1st, and we, make this the 16th of October, he'll get a late charge because he's not getting his payment in before his due date plus his late charge grace period.
Grace period still 10 days?
Sorry?
Is the grace period still 10 days?
That's what it's being set up for $10 after 10 days, and then older contracts with that sales date break were $5 after 10 days. And we can see that if we go to the account details. And we see the late charge code. And so this example is $5 after 30 days. So that's his dues, and then his loan is, I can never find it on the loan. It's on one of these screens. I'll find it. So going back to the payments. Maintenance also has the payment arrangement option. I just have to, it's not turned on for this account, but it'll work the same way as the loan did. You pick your number of payments and the total amount, and it'll break it out and allow you to adjust those. Do you have any Canadian customers that try to pay with Canadian checks or accounts?
Not that I know of. We have Canadian people, but they use credit cards.
Good, perfect. So that's what we like to do too. So we talked about payments, payment arrangements, manage payment methods. So if they have an existing recurring credit card and the expiration date changes, or if you just want to put a new card on file, let's put a new bank account. That's a little bit easier. So we've just added this bank account. There's no payment activity tied to it yet. It's just now become available. So hopefully now when we go and enter payment, it hopefully will become an option in our drop down. So it's right here now. So that's manage payment methods. Doesn't really drive payments, but it allows you to perform maintenance on existing and add new information. So the reason this is grayed out is because there's already a one-time payment set up using this information. So something would have to be done with that payment before we can delete this information. So the hover tells us that. So if we go into the payments, and cancel this, cancel all these. And go back to our manage payment methods. Now we can delete that bank account if we wanted to. So, any questions that we?
I just have one question about canceling or changing a payment. You have until 5 o'clock the day of, is that what I understood, or?
Eric, did you hear that? Okay.
5 o'clock the day of, okay.
Or 4 o'clock. Right.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And it will stop you if it's 501 and you try to do it, it'll say the process has already started. This payment's in process. So. We have the ability to reverse credit card and ACH payments. So if there's ever any type of an issue, we can reverse those for you. We do reverse the entire payment, so we're not able to reverse $50 of a $175 payment. We'd have to reverse the entire $175. It's an audit requirement for us. And then we could draft what the updated amount should be. So that is something that we're able to do.
Now, is there a separate screen for that, or do we have to have, is there going to be administration only that can do that?
For the reversals, it's a request. It'll be through the transmittals, and it will be the action request. And what that is, it's really kind of sending an email, but to this account specifically. And we can say, and then our operations team will get that request, and they could go in and set up the reversal. So.
Now, does that usually reverse that same day, or is there a certain number? I mean, can we tell the member, well, you'll be looking for this 3 to 5 days, or?
Sure. The action requests are processed every 2 hours. So as long as it's before the cutoff for the day, for that 5 o'clock cutoff, and it's the same day, more than likely it'll be done. The request will be submitted the same day. Now, how long it takes to work its way back to the customer's bank or credit card, that's completely dependent on the processing systems that it has to go through. So, but you probably experience that now. So, but the transaction to initiate the reversal will be the same day, or if it's after the gap cutoff, the next day. Yes.
Is there a void button for that whole day? Should you run a payment and somebody calls back and says they need to, can you void it?
You can cancel. You could cancel that.
Cancel it. Okay, same thing.
Yeah. 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 When that's what we were doing. When we had all of those stacked up, and we went in and canceled them all. So yes.
Okay.
And again, all that information is recapped in the notes. So here's a cancellation. Here's where we set up a payment. So again, all that activity is captured in the comments.
Hey, Eric, also, so you put in a transmittal note there to reverse it. When it is reversed, will that also be notated?
Yes, it'll show that the transmittal was completed. And you'll see a note from the ops group where they've done the request for that. So you'll see that in the comments. And then obviously, let's see here. And then obviously we'll see it on the history as well. So say we had asked for, this payment to be reversed. There'll be RT&D showing a reversal of this payment, and it will back it out exactly as it was put on. So it'll put back $88.62 to principal, $19.38 to interest, and it'll back the due date up 1 month. So you'll see the reversal information in comments, and then you'll see the actual reversal transaction in the history.
That's great, because right now we have to enter all those values manually when we reverse a payment.
Understood. That's why we try to, that's why we've locked down reversals can only be for amounts that were put on, is so it has that clean in and out, in addition to the audit requirement that we have to have it for.
Now, Eric, is anything that somebody from your operations team would do on an account, is it always notated, or are there any circumstances where an alteration would be made to an account that a comment isn't left?
No, I can't think of anything. That's why, even, due date change that has no monetary, a transaction, even a due date change will show, in the comments up here. So you can see that there is no dollar amounts tied to this, but the due date change was processed.
So we essentially have kind of full visibility into anything Equiant would change on an account.
Oh, sure, absolutely. You should be able to see that in the comments on an account by account basis. So looks like, the 19th is when I did set up some testing information. Yeah, so here's that note for the due date change. Fields amendment are number of extensions. So you can see an indicator of it in the comments. There's an indicator in the history. And then don't forget that the account history, if we look under the loan amendments, it's here as well. So the most detail is here as to what was done, but there's also indicators in the comments and in the transaction history itself. So it'll help, ring a bell and point you here to get the detail. Good question. And then obviously there's reporting on the other side of it. So we can set up reports for loan amendment reports, whether it's for a simple due date, changing it from the 5th to the 10th, or actually extending it, 3 months. So there's reports that are available that can be generated, daily, weekly, monthly. So you can monitor and have that transparency to almost any degree that you'd like. So.
Lots of audits we can do.
Yeah. And then, we go through an audit on an annual basis as well. So. Anything else that we covered today? I think next Tuesday we have new sales, so that'll be a big day.
I have one question. We're getting a lot of our clients asking, our staff asking, we have member numbers that range from 1 digit to 5 digits.
Uh-huh.
So if it's a 12-digit account number, I understand that the first bunch of them are all going to be the same for Outdoor Adventures and all going to be the same for Venture Out. What if that member number that is attached to it is less than 5? Will it automatically just add zeros or ones, or how does that work?
Exactly, you're right. It'll pre-fill, so those last 6 digits. So here's the first 6, 316002. For you, it's 263001, and then the last 6 digits. If it's 1 digit, it'll be 000005 or 1, and then it'll pre-fill. So yeah,
okay.
These last 6 digits will lead with filling pre-filled zeros.
Okay.
So a member could call right now and say, what is my loan number? We'd be able to tell them.
Yeah. But they
Correct.
won't be able to log in until the 2nd.
Right. And when we get the cross-reference built, you'll be able to just go in here and if it's 1514, you'll be able to enter that, and it'll bring up 263001001 514. So,
Oh, really? Okay.
The old member number.
yes.
So they'll just be able to use their current member number. They won't have to memorize the 26300 blah blah.
Yeah, we do that, as a bridge, but we still like, consumers where it's important is, when they need to update their, bill pay information and their, with their bank and checks and stuff that they send in, writing the full digit or full 12 digits is very helpful in keeping, the processing of those payments automated as much as possible. So.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think I mentioned it yesterday, but I am having 12 sets of, 10 or 12, I can't remember. I may have only been 10 sets of training booklets. They're at the printers now, so I will be shipping those up to you next week. And the idea will be, it'll be there, for you to use when Dawn is on site, and then you'll be able to keep those because they're designed to be like a desk reference as well. So I know we're throwing a lot of information to you, and there's no way to try to absorb all of it, but with these reference books, you'll be able to say, oh, I think I remember something about that, and go and locate it in the book, and it'll have, the detail and examples there. So getting 10 sets of those prepared to send to you. It'll cover bill charges, all of this, navigation, payment entry, everything that we're going to cover. So new sales. So you'll have some, permanent bound reference materials to keep as well.
Awesome.
All right. Any other?
Would it be possible at all, Eric, to move the training schedule next week instead of Tuesday and Wednesday to Wednesday and Thursday?
Sure.
Okay. Because I'll be looking at it.
That's right. Good thought.
So would Thursdays be done on Friday, or should we move Thursdays to the following week? Because it's campaigns, it's collection campaigns, so it's not critical to have done right away because, we're probably not going to set up campaigns before conversion anyway, obviously. So it's something that we could do after if we need to.
Yeah, let's maybe think about doing it that. Obviously, we're all drinking out of a fire hose here right now, so maybe
Sure.
delaying that after might be helpful.
Okay. So we'll move Tuesday and Wednesday to Wednesday and Thursday, and Thursday's campaigns, and we'll just table for now and fit it in when it seems appropriate.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. I'll do that. And we
Anything
also,
Eric?
if you want those training reference materials in electronic format, we can send those as well, in addition to the hard copies that I'm having prepared. So
That would be great.
okay. I don't think I have anything else. So if you have anything on that end, let me know.
Perfect.
We're good?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot, Eric.
All right, let's talk to you soon.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Bye.